This is going to be your lit finals. You have proper names. It says 140 lit none. Okay. This is going to be then test number 1, 140 lit for 5 minutes, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and mute you, Monica.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, test number 1 for 5 minutes. Final exam lit. On a good day at school, do you court reporting students feel that you are writing fast and clean? The same question now, but in reverse. On your bad days at school, which do you feel is missing the most? The speed or the clarity in your steno? Do you find you always are chasing the speed in the class you are in? Clarity on an average should let you correctly input up to 95% of your strokes. You will notice that I just said 95% of your strokes. This is not the same as 95% of what is being dictated in class. You are going to drop words. Your steno speed building class will at first feel like it is being conducted at a speed that you haven't yet achieved. Then as soon as you pass a few speed tests, you have to move up to the next level where once again, you will be chasing the speed. Remember, we are talking about average clarity and speed. If you can only type up to 90%, then you need to turn your focus toward writing with greater precision. You are not getting enough of your strokes correct, so at that point you should forget about speed until you have regained control of your writing. Of course, if you always write 98%, go ahead and pour on the speed. Remember that for a speed test at school, absolute clarity isn't needed. It's a learning situation, a chance to gauge your progress, and you only need enough accuracy in your writing to pass your test. If you already write at your speed level with accuracy, you are ready to put your focus on building speed. Do you have a good pace when you write? If you do, you are ahead of the game. If you don't, you have an untapped source of speed available to you. To gain rhythm and flow to your writing, you have to practice with drills that are slower than your writing comfortable zone. Pick drills that don't challenge you too much. If you can gain rhythm at a lower speed, you will have it at the higher speeds too. If you can learn to write the rhythm at a low speed, you will be a lot less likely to break down under pressure at a higher speed. You will learn to write without hesitation. Drills that incorporate a lot of little words are perfect for honing your rhythm skills. It's all about learning to write perfect, clear steno at a low speed and then using the same muscle memory as you gain speed. Let's talk about real time for a moment. It seems like everyone these days wants to come out of court reporting school writing perfect real time. Real time is now required of most working reporters, but it is something that can be gained once you have your license and are working. If you make real time your goal while you're in school, it will slow down your speed building. Try not to get too caught up worrying about it while you're in school. Don't be one of those students who wastes precious class time playing with their laptop instead of taking down the dictation. When you are out in the working world, you can't ever take your hands off your machine. So while in school, keep your focus on what you are hearing rather than what you are seeing on your computer screen. Always put your writing first. Read back from your steno notes. Stay in touch with how you write things and type up as many tests as you possibly can. Rhythm doesn't mean writing every word at the same speed. Only a machine can do that. And we aren't machines. Some words and phrases are harder than others to stroke, and not every word in the world has been incorporated into your mental dictionary. If you have to stop to think about the difference between jury, juror, injure, and injury, then you will slow yourself down. The only way to master an outline is to practice writing it slowly and correctly at first until you have perfected it and can then increase your speed. And then 140, number 2 test, you have proper names, Mrs., and it's Lifoli, L-I-F-O-L-I, L-I-F-O-L-I, and State of California. State is capitalized, so is California. Any questions, Monica?
No, no questions.
Okay, this is going to be then test number 2, 140 lit for 5 minutes. Final exam, let me mute it. (140). I would like to call Mrs. Lifoli to the bench. Please step forward to the bench, ma'am. You have asked the court to answer several questions about small claims court and whether or not it would be the best place for you to litigate a matter that is related to this lawsuit. I want to advise you that in our state, small claims court is geared toward the consumer, and attorneys are not allowed to appear with a litigant. Only the parties related to the action at hand are allowed to appear in the courtroom. Of course, this might be to your advantage. It is not up to me to say. That is the choice you must make, Mrs. Lifoli. Let me remind you that if you don't understand something I say, please stop me and let me know. Just tell me and I will state it in a way that is more understandable to you. I will advise you that small claims actions are heard before a judge in the state of California and without a jury being in the room. Again, this could be to your advantage or it could not. The choice to go to court is entirely up to you, and only you can make that decision. I have made up a checklist for you that you can follow should you decide to go ahead with your claim. Please consider the list step by step and pay attention to the fine print. Each point on the checklist must be met before you can proceed to a trial. You will need to make sure you have the full legal name of the party being sued. You will need to figure out where it is you are to go. Find out where the claim should be filed and which city and county are the right filing venue for your case. This step is critical, so be sure all your information is correct and accurate and that you know when to appear and where. You will need to take a morning or afternoon and go to the clerk's office. He or she will give you some of the forms you need to fill out. You must make sure, ma'am, that you complete each and every line on the forms and that you complete them honestly and in a timely manner. These forms were made for all types of cases, so if you should find a part of the form doesn't apply to your case, then you will write down the words not applicable. That way the clerk won't think you have left out answers and will know that you have filled in the whole form to the best of your ability. Before leaving the clerk's office, ask him or her any questions you might have about the forms and then pay your filing fee. the clerk will let you know how much it is, and they do accept credit and debit cards as well as cash. Make arrangements for the order or subpoena to be served on the defendant in the case. It is your job to make sure that that's done. And these things tend to vary from county to county. So make sure to know what you are responsible for. Find out when your trial date is and start to prepare for your day in court. By that I mean you should gather together all documents that relate to your case. You can never be too prepared for something like this. If there are witnesses you want to call the day you are in court, let all of them know the trial date and what is expected of them. On the day of your trial, go to the courthouse on time and check the court calendar to find out where your case is being heard and when it is on. Plan to arrive ahead of schedule because the court calendars tend to be crowded and your case may be moved ahead or be rescheduled. Try to be prepared for any and all changes that may occur. Plan to take time before entering the courtroom to review your notes and documents. A clear and concise presentation is much more okay. And we'll get ready for the 120s. Were you going to log off, Monica?
Yes, I'll log off.
Okay, Monica.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Monica.
Okay. Thanks.
So we have your 120, number 1, final, lit, Ms. Brisbane, Auburn, Seth Quinn, Sunset, and Seth. And we also have people, capitalize it, and courts, capitalize it. People and courts. This is going to be 120 lit number 1 for 5 minutes. Lit number 1. The people will now begin, Your Honor, and I would like to address the jury, if I may. We have finally completed over 8 weeks of testimony in this case, and we are going to present our closing arguments to you. I think from the court's remarks that she just made, you understand that the only thing left after the closing arguments is for the jury to deliberate and to arrive at a verdict. There are going to be several closing arguments for you to take in today. One will be made by me, and then a reply to that will be made by Ms. Brisbane. After that, there will most likely be an attempt on my part to rebut what Ms. Brisbane has said. That is the common way to do things in court. Once we are done with that, you will go into the jury room to think things through to a logical and reasonable conclusion. Some of you have sat on criminal cases as a jury member. You might recall that the prosecution gets 2 chances to argue the case, and they also have the burden of proof to show a jury why they feel the defendant should be convicted of the crime he is charged with. Once we are done, the court is going to have her chance to instruct you on what the law is. I warned you at the start of the case when we were selecting the jury, you must always be reminded of the law in any case. The law is very complex. The facts are very complex. It isn't an easy matter to come in and sit on a jury in order to decide right from wrong. You will have to take a fair amount of time to consider the large number of exhibits as well as the large amount of evidence that has been presented to you. Do not rush the verdict. As you are aware, there was nearly 200 pieces of evidence in the trial. You have looked at maps and charts and at photographs and at a lot of lab reports. They were all received into evidence and they must be considered by you. Any of them can be taken into the jury room with you. They are evidence just the same as the testimony of a witness. Now, we as attorneys brought in an entire parade of witnesses for you to listen to. What I hoped to do was to have certain witnesses on the stand in order to prove something to you. It is up to the jury to determine whether facts number 1 or 2 have been proven, and you will have to determine if fact number 199 has been proven too. We wouldn't be sitting here trying a case if all the facts were uncontested. We would not even have a case if that was true. You must sit a little while longer and listen to the arguments of myself and Miss Brisbane. This case has been not only long, but also quite interesting. Don't you agree? We know that an armed robbery took place, and it took place in the town of Auburn on the 9th of May 2013. We now know quite a bit about the robbery in fact. We know that it occurred at Seth Quinn's studio off of the main drag and down a small lane known as Sunset. We know that okay, and then we have your 120 number 2, and all that you have is Holly. Lit number 2, 120, Holly. This is going to be 120 lit number 2 for 5 minutes. She filed the action for the divorce because of certain circumstances that had happened. One of the things that happened was she wanted to get a car, and she asked me if I would buy her a new car. So we went out and bought a new car for her. I bought her a van. This is all like giving her some space so she could just be herself. And I wanted her to have a nice car because she was going to be doing a long commute at her new job. I decided she would get a van, and we went and bought a new van. This is really a lot of stuff to tell, but you might as well know everything that went on. My son lived close to where she was working. She worked nights and she worked only weekends at first. I was having dinner with my son one night and his wife, and they were taking me home. They had come and picked me up in his car, and we were driving past the hospital. When we drove by the hospital, we saw Holly pull out of the driveway in the new van, and so my son followed her. We were driving almost right behind her. she started taking what seemed like evasive routes instead of going home the way you normally would go home. My son and his wife says, well, let's follow her and see what she's going to do. So we did, and she went down this street and down that street. We ended up across the freeway in an industrial park, and we lost sight of her. We didn't know where she had gone to. We were going to leave the industrial park, and they looked, and they saw the van parked in one of the main building parking lots. We pulled into the parking lot, and I went up to the van because I had a key to it also. I opened up the van, and then the security people came because there was nobody but us in the parking lot. There were 3 cars parked by Holly's van, and that was it. When I had the door of the van open, of course, that's when security showed up. And they asked me what I was doing. I told them that it was my van and that I thought my wife had parked it and gone into the building. The security guy goes, no, there's nobody in the building. He said if the van wasn't moved, he was going to have it towed because it didn't belong there and didn't have a parking sticker for the lot. I asked him what he wanted me to do, and he said I should get the van out of there. I knew there was no way to reach Holly. She didn't have a cell phone then, so there was no way I could call her to let her know what was going on. So what I did was to drive the van home. I don't know where she got to. We had lost her, and we were leaving the industrial park, and we just happened to drive by and saw her van in there. Easy to spot since there was only 3 cars. The van was brand new, so it was easy to spot. I thought maybe she would call me, but she didn't call me. She worked Friday and Saturday night and Sunday night too. By Sunday, when I hadn't gotten a call from her, I called her at work. Okay, that's it, you all. That concludes your LIPS and jury charge tests. Tomorrow we have Q&A and multi, and make sure you speed build on your own, okay? I will send you out emails stating when to register for class, okay? Have a good day, y'all. Good luck.